sometimes we're in a position where we might get an error in our program from something we have no control over. Here's an example. I've got the user typing in what is hopefully a number, but I don't have any control over the user. They can type in anything. And what I immediately do is I try and convert their input into an integer, into a number. But they could, as I say, type in anything. So let's just run that. What is my number? Mash the keyboard. I can't turn SDSDF into an integer. Fair enough. So I'm going to try to catch that error using specifically a try block. So I'm going to remove this int here. So I'm just going to get the input from the user in this section here, and then I'm going to try to turn that into an int here, int usernum. And that may well work correctly. If that works correctly, it just carries on and does the rest of the program. However, if we get an error because the user typed in SDSF or whatever, we can catch that. We can give them a message or do whatever we want to do. Say print not a number, and then just kind of brutally exit the program just right there. So let's just try both of those pathways. So I'll save that and run it again. So what is my number? Let's go 4. Actually, let's go 1001. 1001 is number wang because its user number is greater than 1000. So that worked absolutely fine. It did the integer thing, converted that correctly, and just carried on with the rest of the program. Now let's run it again. And this time I'm going to type in something which looks like a number but isn't. It can't convert that into an integer. That decimal point it does not recognize as being a whole number. So 2.5, it says not a number and exits and doesn't carry on with the rest of the program. So that's pretty cool. You know, you use this if you have something you haven't got control over. So typically that's either input directly from a user, or it might be that you're trying to access a file on a drive, or like on a USB drive that someone pulls out with your computer, or you're accessing a file on the network drive or a database which might crash or something like that. Something you don't have control over, you try it and see if it works. Now, just to take it one little step further here, we're actually supposed to be able to type in a decimal here. If someone types in a decimal number, it says we like those decimals. So I'm going to say here, we've tried converting it to a integer and that didn't work. Let's try now converting it to a float. Usernum equals float usernum. And if that works correctly, it then carries on to this line here. Print we like those decimals. Okay, and we don't need anything else to happen at that point, but except is going to be what we had before. Print not a number and exit brutally. What went wrong there? I mistyped. I think we're good now. Goodish. Okay, let's try some of those pathways, shall we? So running the program. I'm firstly going to type in 1001, number wang. Great. Now I'm going to type in that. That's not a number. It just exits. It doesn't do anything else. Now I'm going to type in 1000.5, which is we like those decimals and number wang. So it did this. It tried turning it. It failed to turn it into an integer. It succeeded in turning it into a float. It did we like those decimals, and then because username was greater than 1000, it printed number wang. Cool. I think we're reasonably clear on how this is. By the way, this isn't necessarily how you would do the integer float thing. It is a valid way to do it, but there's better ways. Okay. So hope that helps to understand how try and except can be used.